Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Jollof Rice. We have Emmanuel and Gagan here.
You forgot to mention biryani. So
I
please
said, did I
say
say Jollof?
jollof rice. I know you.
Oh, I said
Come
Jollof Rice?
on.
Jollof Biryani. Welcome to Jollof Biryani.
Yeah, and we're on the second episode. I know it's been a while. Gagan is gonna say it's my fault. Maybe 70% my fault for what's taking this long for us to get back to you, but
Yep,
we're here.
we're here, so let's jump right in.
Yeah.
The topic for today is audit firms or accounting firms, and what what would have helped you, or would you like to have known at different levels, from staff to partnership. So, jumping right into it, what would you say would be better, or would you, as a staff member, like when you joined as a staff, if you knew something and that would help you a lot?
Good question. I think for me, it's more looking at things in perspective. It's not the work. I'm not gonna say, because I know you're probably thinking in the line of what could I have known that would have helped me in my career. I think it's more what would I have known that would have made me appreciate the moment. So I think for me it was more, if I knew that as you grow older, your
Yeah.
responsibility gets bigger, and
Yeah.
that sucks the fun out of it. I would have had more fun
Mm.
and I would have enjoyed the moment, you know, because I can remember in my first vouching, I can remember signing off my first section, I can remember first review notes.
Yeah.
But I think enjoying the moment and making sure that as you're enjoying it, you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just going through work, you're actually learning. You're not just going through. So there is something we say in Nigeria, it's just, you're going through school, the school is going through you.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, but that is something I felt like if I had known, I would have enjoyed it better. I'd have actually enjoyed the moment. And what about you? And it might be different for you because I know you were a staff in Dubai.
Yeah. Well, it was not majorly different. I think I've told this to you
Yeah.
previously that for me, I was always striving to like progress really fast. So I
Yeah.
did the same thing. I was like, come on, let's do it. Oh, my peers are progressing, so I need to progress. So always that rush or that race
Yeah.
to get somewhere, not enjoying the moment, as you said. So it's important to enjoy what you're doing. For me, I think the best thing to do would be build a base. Build a base means learn the tips and tricks, learn the basis of everything you're doing, so that when you go to the next level, you're able to teach others, and plus you're building like a house or a structure on a good base, and that will not falter. You'll still make mistakes, but your mistakes will not be that big, or you will at least know the basics to build up from.
Yeah, and I majorly agree with you that because building a base helps reduce the mistakes you make.
Yeah.
Because audit is methodology, right? There is a requirement, you perform it to, So if you have that base, because you'll be checking the box. So
Yeah.
the likelihood of you making a mistake or missing something big or missing something significant as you progress, it's gonna be low.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you.
Right. So that was an easy one. Moving on to senior
It
level.
wasn't easy, guys, but
As an easy one, like because the responsibility is much lower at that level. So
it is.
yeah. So
It
that's
is.
why we're moving on to the other one.
And I think as you go up the ladder, you actually appreciate,
The time. Yeah.
the time when you were staff and all you had to do was substantive testing
Yeah.
and expenses and vouching to
Yeah.
support up.
I know it can get a bit like if you're repeating the same thing, it gets a bit, but
Yeah.
it's still fun. at
I
times,
agree.
okay. So that senior.
Oh my days, as senior. I think as a senior, what I would say is it's something I think I would have loved to know is time goes fast.
Hmm.
Time, regardless of the timing they give to you to get a job done, it goes
Yeah.
fast. So do more work at the initial stage,
Yeah.
because that way, when it's almost deadline, you don't have to rush your work done, and you're not under that pressure, because all the time is on this pressure. You're getting pressure from everyone. You get the pressure from your staff. Your manager's pressuring you, pointing to it because it was not my manager. um, the client on their own, they have a deliverable, you know, they try to get their financial statement out. And even the team members you're working with, the staff members, you know, they have their, it might be a different kind of pressure, but they're coming to you with questions, they're trying to make sure they're getting the work done. So I think it's getting a lot of these things that you have to do, chat your, you know, determine what you need to do and get a lot of things done at the initiative period. Because once you do that, it gives you enough time to actually
Yeah.
not try to do, I say, pack all the important activities toward the end of your life.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, I know you were a superstar senior, but what could you have done better?
Yeah, I was superstar senior, presumably, but yeah.
What
uh,
you did?
One thing which I would have done differently
Yeah.
is focus on more risky or more areas which would take more time first, and then do the smaller portions later. I think when work starts becoming a bit trickier and challenging, we start looking for small victories and wins. They're like, hey, I finished a small section, great. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, maybe the risk on that section was negligible or
Yeah.
next to none. So actually, you didn't do much. You actually spent more time on something which you could have done
Could have
towards
done.
the end and
Yeah.
wouldn't add too much value. But I think as a senior, we had spoken about this previously, was wherein you're already starting to take responsibility of staff members, because whatever product you send to your manager, even if it's done by you as with completed by a staff, you're responsible for the staff now.
Yeah.
So now you're already spending some time out of your hours in order to answer queries of your staff, and that is very important because somebody did that when you were staff. So you need to do that and develop them. So you're not getting your 100% of your time to do the files. Plan your time. Staff are curious, they'll ask you a lot of questions. One trick to use is let them know if it's a important question which is stopping their work, then they can come to you right away. But if it's not a very important question, it's not going to hold work. And if it's just bits and pieces which can be done later, probably set up a time every day, every second day, to meet with them for half an hour, 20 minutes, where they can ask all their queries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very important to manage your time.
Yeah, I think one other thought popped into my head while you were talking. I think it's more, while you're a senior, you just start, you know, actively coaching, you know, people that work on you. I think develop that skill, because as you go up the ladder, you use that skill more.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, man.
Next level, assistant manager, manager, senior manager.
No, I'm just gonna jump from assistant manager because I feel like an assistant manager, you're like a semi-senior, semi-manager, right? So it's in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, manager. I think you should take that first because you know you've been a manager more. Okay.
Yeah, so again, more admin work comes in. You're doing your, you want to be responsible for
Yeah.
people filling their timesheets in, for making sure that the budget is intact. If it's not going as per plan, let the partner know, let the client know. You're pulling strings from everywhere. Like, it might look like you're not doing a lot to the staff and seeing
Yeah.
that, oh my god, what is this person doing? They're not even in the file and they're saying they're busy. But you have to understand, like, if as a staff and seniors you're doing like 10 files each,
Yeah.
maybe your manager is doing 25 files. So they have to split their time. They have less time on each file, but they're also coordinating with the tax team, with the partner, with the client, with the tax, I already mentioned the tax team, maybe with the quality control, maybe evaluations team. You don't know, like there are 7-8 different teams they might be talking to, and they're trying to coordinate that. And if it's a client which has like multiple subsidiaries around the world, then you're sending emails around the world with different time zones, having those calls. They're not letting you know that I'm doing this every moment, but that's what keeps you busy and planning all those things. And most of the firms, it's your responsibility to plan the team. If the work doesn't get done on time, then, or if you need more time, then you need to talk to other managers, you need to talk to the staffing team and get more hours for them. And that's not always easy. So, and also planning beforehand. If you have a set of like 100 clients throughout the year, then what you're trying to do is you're planning 100 clients on the schedule. And as a staff or a senior, you'll be like, oh, there's nothing on my schedule, but you don't know what goes behind the scene. imagine 5 managers with 100 client seats, 500 client seats to get on the timesheets. I mean,
Yeah.
not on the timesheet, on the schedule, and they need to work together to get those things done and make sure everything goes out.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of admin work. It could be fun, but it's more
No, it's
challenging
not
as
fun.
well. It
Don't-
could be challenging as well. So you have to
Yeah.
coordinate and you need to do that.
Don't
So
listen to gags. It's not fun.
it is at times, but it depends because you get to talk to a lot of people and
He loves
the
talking to
temperament.
people. See?
It makes you understand the temperament of people. The more you understand people, the more you realize it is important to not always say what is on your mind, and but it's important to say what is in your heart, because on your mind you could be angry, you could be frustrated, and you could say stuff which you don't mean. But when it comes from your heart, you know there is a reason why it's coming through to you, and it has to be discussed. Again, words are important. How you say it is also important. Don't just say how it comes out, but just make sure you say it properly. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
Everything you said, makes sense. And I do, like as you were saying them, I could see myself. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I do every day. I think you touched on the most important thing, which is the fact that as much as it looks like you're not doing anything, you're doing a lot. And in a nutshell, everything you just did mention is the ownership piece, right? I think that's like the major shift between, senior manager a senior associate or assistant manager
Yeah.
to being a manager. It's that ownership piece because you just don't know. It's automatically because it just becomes your audit.
Yeah.
It just becomes your project. And I think one thing which we discussed earlier was probably more the fact that the bridge that you would normally have maybe as a senior between yourself and the partner,
Yeah.
it's minimal there because now you're actually speaking to the person that actually runs the firm.
Yeah.
You're working directly with the person, and sometimes because they have, I would say the way they say things based on the experience that they have and the responsibility that lies on their shoulders from they own majority of the liability that has to do with the financial management issue because they're signing on it.
Yeah.
So the pressure that comes from them is different.
Exactly.
So that is, I think it's the ownership and the pressure that comes from that piece that is the major piece that I would say I did experience when I had like that position change. But one other very important thing that you mentioned is to be a good manager, you must be able to manage your stakeholders effectively.
Yeah.
Like that is actually the core of the job that you do as a manager. I'm telling you, I think you can do that way more than a partner. Because a partner's, from a stakeholder point of view, a partner is more like they do a lot of stakeholder management, but their management is more focused on clients.
Client, exactly.
Making the client happy.
Yeah.
You're doing that as well.
Yeah.
As a manager.
You're making everyone happy.
You're
Yeah.
making everyone happy.
Yeah.
So it's a manager plays a very important and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away the importance of what a senior associate does because they do a lot of work as well for their role. But a good manager makes a difference.
I think it kind of starts flowing into your life as well. You want to try to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Because you get so used to it. Like everybody around me, you get to be happy. You get to be happy. Everybody gets to be happy. So actually, you become a bit more kinder to people as well because you understand there is so much going on and so much you don't know. Much you don't know, and it's actually a blessing and a curse at the same time. So not knowing is actually a blessing in one way, but not knowing can also be a curse because you don't know what's going on, and it's very important to have that on your mind.
Yeah.
And I think we had spoken about one thing which kind of we should not be missing out on, and we'll probably do an episode on that is feedback. So having those discussions with your team, letting them know about the good and the improvement points and the development points is very key and on a timely basis.
Yeah.
I think that is very, very important.
Yeah, I think I think that's another thing that changes from being a senior to a manager, is to having those hard conversations.
Yeah.
Which is never easy, but necessary.
Agree. Right. That was quite a handful. So now, partnership. What does a partner need to know? Of course, both of us didn't make it to partners yet. You never know.
You're nearer to the ball than I would ever be. But
so, What would you say if there's a message you would like to pass to the partners or something you would like to say to them? What would you say?
I think they should be more empathetic. And when I say, I don't mean they should just say sorry to everyone and meet on the elevator. No. What I'm trying to say is that I think as a partner, especially if you're working in a big firm, regardless of the size actually, just make sure that everyone that you work with, that works in the firm, that you come in contact with feels bad.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the bread and butter of public accounting, work-life balance. So if you expect people to actually make that sacrifice and put in their best, people will only do that if they actually feel like they are part of something big.
Yeah.
But if you don't make them feel like that, yeah, they might be doing it for selfish reason, probably to get ahead, to get a promotion that they made. But at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, they will, if they have to leave, they will leave without looking back.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's it. I think that's something that breeds bad culture in a firm. But as much as you can, make everyone that you come in contact with, let them know that they are adding value. They are important to the firm. They actually are the one that make up the firm.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think one of the most important words you used was making them feel valued.
Yeah.
So that's a key thing because yes, who are your two biggest stakeholders as a partner? I think the first one is clients. Of course, you need the clients.
Yeah.
The second one would surely be your team.
Yeah.
So if you cannot take out time for your team, then there's something going on.
Yeah.
Everyone is busy. As a partner, yes, you can be more busier and than everyone else. You could be working even longer hours. You have maybe 200, 300 clients, whatever you have to get out during the year.
Yeah.
But it's also important to understand you are working with humans. I think I mentioned this previously. We are still not in a time where AI is doing everything for us. Yes, we have programs now to help us and aid us, but you need to be able to communicate the same way you do with your clients. You're respectful to them, you're kind. You need to treat your people the same, your team the same way. I'm not saying you need to take them out of fancy dinners all the time. You need to give them drinks and parties.
If you can, please.
If you can, you can do that once in a while. But
fighting for the generation.
at the end of the day, I don't think it's only about the free food and stuff. I think people feel more valued when they're appreciated.
Yeah.
When they don't feel like
It could be the little things.
yeah, it could be the little things. And I think I gave an example to you previously wherein one of the partners I worked with, because it was deadline day for busy season, I was working on files, I didn't get a chance to file my tax return. So that partner went in, asked me for my details, I shared it with him, and he actually did my tax return to make sure I don't miss the deadline. So stuff like that, I will never forget that. Never. Like it's been maybe 3 years now that thing happened. You can't forget those things.
No.
Because how people make you feel, you cannot forget those things. And you'll always be grateful for such moments because it shows you the difference between a great partner and a partner.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any bad partner, to be honest. I think people have shortcomings, but you can't call someone bad because of that. Yes, they need some stuff to work on, and it's important, especially communication and having heartfelt conversations with individuals is important. Yes, it's a business. I understand you want to make more money. That's great, but make sure you are working with people. And if you want to make sure we want to keep having good quality people keep coming into audit firms, and we are right now having a shortage throughout the world, wherein the number of people who want to join audit firms is quite less as compared to people who want to go to industry. There's obvious reasons to that because people don't mind the hours at times because a lot of other industries we have spoken about it have longer hours than ours.
Yeah.
Right? But it's more about if they don't feel valued and they're being only given the negative side or the short end of the stick, then why would you want that? Right?
Yeah.
So it has to be a balance, just like everything in life.
Yeah, I agree with you. And hopefully a partner watches this episode and does better.
Well, if I make it to partner, I'm probably going to watch my own episode, so I know we got one person in the very bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully you do become one person because I do if you do,
Yeah.
um, I'm sure that whoever works with you would appreciate the impact that you would make and how great a partner you would be because I've worked with you and I know how yeah, you do the work but you're also empathetic.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Righty.
All right. So that was all from us for this episode,
Yeah.
and we will be back real soon. We have a few topics in our mind.
Real soon.
Real soon.
It's not gonna be one of those with some road and
Yeah.
I'm not person, but
All right. So this is Gagan signing off, and
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel signing off as well. So that's bye from Jollof Biryani.